Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Beach FM, and our great pleasure to welcome to the program once again the Mayor of the Horowhenua, Bernie Wanden. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, John, and to your listeners. I hope you're all well and safe.
Indeed, and as we do hope that you and yours are safe, and of course the wider yours includes your staff, who I imagine are doing an enormous amount of work behind the scenes to keep the ship going.
For sure. Look, there's business as usual needs to carry on. We still have to make sure that the water's going through the pipes, the waste is being done and everything like that. But it's also, obviously, there's lots of plans being made for when we come out of this and our future. They're extremely busy. And I know that even those that are not, sort of like working in the libraries and the aquatic centres and things like that, are still being redeployed and working in other areas of the business. So, everyone's sort of really coming to the fore, which is great.
Well, of course, I imagine that top of mind for many will be the annual plan. Is it in a state of flux at the moment, given the situation we're in?
It certainly is. We went out with our consultation document, 3 or 4 days before lockdown. We still, though, need to understand that we need to make a plan for next year. Things may look a little different from what we had envisaged, but we still need to understand what the community are thinking, what their vision is for the district as well. But also, for us, it's about now trying to model in the various scenarios that could happen. Obviously, spending and budgets need to be looked at pretty closely.
You're right, no doubt about that. And I suppose the other part of that equation is finding out what the public thinks to put your finger in the wind. It's a little bit more difficult in lockdown times. I imagine it is. Is that the case or not?
Well, it is. But also, the reality is that, council can play a pretty big role in terms of keeping our economy going, making sure that local businesses get work where there is opportunity for that, making sure that our community organisations are supported and enabled. So while we have to be extremely careful around where we spend the money and how we, the essential services that we do spend their money on, it's vital that we do put money back into our economy so that, the businesses and the organisations can be viable and sustain themselves over what will be, pretty traumatic times for them.
Are you putting together a particular package to deal with the economic situation?
We are, John. We've formulated what we're calling a financial resilience working party, which comprises both our independent members of our finance committee, senior management, and some elected officials as well. We are looking at all aspects of the business in terms of how we think where things will land. Also, as a group of councillors, we are certainly looking at, our expenditure and especially around the capital projects that we've got planned for next year. We're talking regularly amongst ourselves. We want to make sure that we're satisfied that we are looking after the interests of the community as well.
Crikey, it's a heap of work in there, isn't it?
There sure is.
Yeah.
In times like this, though, council does have a big part to play. We can't rely on central government to support us right through this. All aspects of the community are going to have to band together and help one another. We're also, as a council team, been phoning and ringing different organisations and different parts of the community, like the progressive associations, and talking to them about, making sure that they are aware that the annual plan's still out there, that we still want them to contribute. Have they got any major issues? It's been a good way of connecting with a lot of people as well.
But, it seems to me, Bernie, and I deal a wee bit with the Company Coast District Council as well, that in this lockdown period, there's at least as much business going on as business as usual. I get the impression that people are pretty busy right now.
For sure. Look, I couldn't agree more. I'm getting regular updates from my CE around where they sit in terms of trying to not only carry out the business as usual, but also to try and work out the plans around, how we're going to come out of this lockdown and where we're going to sit. And there's so many different scenarios that you've got to try and think of. It's not as easy just to think that we're going to go back to what it was pre-lockdown. There's going to be staged, outcomes. So, look, there's restrictions that are still going to be in place for some time yet. Yep. So we've got to try and understand, how that's going to work and how the community are going to be affected. Look, not only personally, but as a district council does, and I know that I have a role to play, and council has a big role to play in giving our community reassurance that there is a plan there and that we are working towards a sustainable future.
When do you think this recovery plan may become public?
Look, there's still a little bit of work to do, but between now and June the 30th, which is the date that we have to adopt the annual plan, I think you'll see a staged sort of development of a plan. Early on, I think that it's pretty easy to be able to establish some things that we can do almost straight away. But I think as more the government tell us how we're going to manage this lockdown exit, there will be more plans and strategies put forward then.
We live in interesting times, my friend, don't we?
We certainly do. Look, the weekend over Easter was 6 months since the election, and it's been a huge 6 months. Little did I think that I would be in a position that we're in at the moment. So, look, it's almost like you've got to expect the unexpected these days, that there will be challenges along these lines, regardless of whether it's, a natural disaster or something like this. We've got to be prepared nowadays.
We sure do. Bernie, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate the time you spare for us here on Beach FM. You're always welcome on 106.3. Thank you for your company.
Thank you.
106.3 Beach FM.